Aloha and welcome to Action Island. I am Gilles Gallant. I'm joined by Nick Giffen, Derek Carty, and Kyle Murray, and we are here to build a same game parlay for tonight's Monday Night Football matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to put a bow on Week 11. So here's what we do. We've got two of our favorite bets for tonight's game. We're going to take a vote on those picks to decide which of those picks is going to stay as a parlay leg and which one is going to leave the island. And by the end of the show, we will have a four-leg same game parlay for you for tonight's Monday Night Football game. But if you want to tail all of these bets or any of these bets, or you just want to tail them as single bets, we're going to be dropping quick slip links in the YouTube chat that will take you directly to the sportsbook if you want to tail that bet. So use those links. It'll help you just easier to get those best lines and best odds as we give them out, because some of them may move as we go. So Kyle, Mr. Big Load, what do we got this week? You've got looking like a player prop and a total. What are we doing?
Yeah, looking back at a running back here, obviously you alluded to it a little bit, but on the Thursday night show, gave out Trayvon Henderson and his receiving yards, due to some, potential increase in that load that we were going to be talking about volume wise. And I think the same case has been said for Genty, not necessarily with Pete Carroll on the podium, but in some of this underlying data, looking at his routes run and his targets over the last couple of weeks, five plus targets, five targets in three of his last five games with back-to-back games with five targets. 87% snap rate last game, 91% the game before. So we're also seeing him play more exclusive three-down work, which is always nice to see. So I'm picking the over on his receiving yards at 17.5 due to that usage in increase of in the passing game, but also game script wise here. I'm not a big fan of this Raiders team. I don't think many people are these days, so would not be surprised to see them fall behind early and force this Raiders team into a passing script, a pass heavy script here. 3.5 point underdogs at home, so I do think that that is a potential path to more volume for Genty as well. And when looking at our projections at Roto Grinders, have him for closer to 22.5 receiving yards in our projection model there. So give me the over on Genty's receiving yards.
All right, Ashton Genty, big load bet of the week, courtesy of Travion Henderson from last week after you hit that bet. So you that's the player prop you like, Ashton Genty over 17 and a half receiving yards. What's the total you're doing tonight?
Yeah, I know everyone's favorite thing to do on these island games is to bet the unders. It would have been a good trend last night and even last week. I think all three of the games last week went under on the primetime games and certainly went under last night in that brutal Sunday night game. I think, we're not going to have to worry about any weather here, obviously, in the Vegas Dome, but I still like the under at 50.5 here when you're talking about this Raiders team again. They've been a pretty solid defense, a ninth rated DVOA ranked defense so far this season, bottom three offense as well. So I'm not really expecting a ton of production from the Vegas side, even though they do have a good matchup against a weak Dallas defense. But from the Dallas perspective, they've been a very good offense this year, a top 11 rated offense. But again, that tough matchup against this Raiders defense that has been pretty successful so far this season. So all things considered, this is a big number here at 50.5 for a team in the Raiders that I expect to have struggle moving the ball because they always do. And then on the other side, Dallas will have a tough matchup against this Vegas defense. So give me the under at 50.5.
Yeah, this pick feels like it's got some pain attached to it. Like, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
jaded from wanting to wish for some offenses in the last few primetime games. So it's just like, you know what? I'm not ready to be hurt again. Let's take the under. So, all right, Derek, Nick, we got to take a vote. Are we going to take Ashton Genty to have 18 or more receiving yards, or are we going to take the under 50 and a half for the game total? So let's take a vote. All right, guys. I couldn't get there with the under. I went with Genty. What did you guys do? Nick, Derek, Nick, you went Genty, Derek, Genty. All right, Genty, clean sweep. All right, so we don't have to root for an under in this game. So we're gonna root for an over though, but that would be Ashton Genty over 17 and a half receiving yards. If you do still want to tail that under 50 and a half, there is a quick slip link in the YouTube chat from Kyle's picks where you could tail that bet, take you directly to the sportsbook. So thank you, Kyle. So that is the first leg of the same game parlay. Ashton Genty over 17 and a half receiving yards. We now move over to the creator of the blitz projections for the NFL, Dr. Derek Carty. I'm not sure if he's actually a doctor. I just thought it sounded cool. But either way, he's got two picks for tonight's game. What are you looking at, Derek?
Yeah, I've got a couple of ugly picks here. First one is Geno Smith to not throw an interception. Plus 125 is the best odds on the board right now. I think ESPN, DraftKings, Hard Rock all have it. The blitz is projecting about a 67% chance that Geno doesn't throw an interception here. So any kind of plus money is just showing huge value. I get that he's thrown a whole bunch of them this year and that he's been really bad, but that's kind of why this bet shows value, I think. Value is usually found on some of the uglier bets that people don't want to make. People don't want to make them, and so books can kind of skew the odds a little bit that way. And I think that's what's going on with Geno's interceptions. He's facing a bad Dallas defense. It's the second slowest pace game of the week, so total play volume should be down, which will help him. It's gross, but I think there's value here.
That's okay. Gross bets are good too, and sometimes they can correlate for a same game parlay. So, Geno Smith, who has had some interception trouble, let's just call it what it is for this season. But that being said, we are seeing value on the no interception because it's around plus 125. So that is the first pick that Derek likes. Derek, what's the next one?
The next one I'm looking at is CeeDee Lamb under 89.5 receiving yards, minus 115 are the best odds on the board right now at BetMGM. The blitz is projecting about 75.5 yards, so a good almost 15 yards or under the line here. It's another one where like you're not comfortable betting against CeeDee Lamb. Nobody really wants to bet against CeeDee Lamb, but I think we're being offered the right price to do that. Usually on star players, you're not going to find value betting overs. You're going to find value, if anything, on betting unders. And I think that's the case here with CeeDee Lamb. I mentioned earlier with Geno that this is the second slowest paced game of the week, so I think total play volume will be down here. And I don't think the matchup sets up especially well for Lamb. He has very wide man zone splits, favoring his production against man defenses, while Las Vegas plays zone at a top three rate in the league. The last time we saw them face a team this zone heavy, he had a disappointing game. And I think we're, you know, not going to see CeeDee Lamb go out there and completely dud, but 90 yards is a lot of yards for anybody, especially when the matchup doesn't necessarily suit his skill set as well as it could. So I like the under here on Lamb.
Yeah, and you know that he'll probably get the volume, but because of so much of the zone coverage, like a lot of those explosive plays might be limited as a result of getting those yards after the catch. So that's why, again, the under 89 and a half does look appealing for CeeDee Lamb in this matchup. But Nick, Kyle, we got to take a vote here. So are we going to take Geno to not throw an interception tonight, stay clean, or are we going to take CeeDee Lamb to go under his receiving yards prop at 89 and a half? So let's take a vote. All right, guys, I just want to say off the top, I appreciate Derek's bravery. I just couldn't get there with the Geno prop, but it looks like Kyle and Nick could. All right, so we are taking a Geno no interception prop here. So we're going to pair that with no interception with Ashton Genty over 17 and a half receiving yards. So that is the first two legs of the same game parlay. As I said, though, if you want to tail either of those bets, quick slip links are in the YouTube chat. It'll take you directly to the sports book. All right, before we get to an actual doctor, Dr. Nick Giffen, first up, if you want access to all of Action Pro projections, make sure to sign up for an annual subscription to Action Pro. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and all the members of the Action Analytics team, along with anytime touchdown projections. You also get access to our best spread, money line, and total bets, along with real ticket and money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today. Use code ISLAND20 at sign up. One more time, that's ISLAND20 at sign up for $20 off. All right, Dr. Nick Giffen, creator of the Luck Rankings. Monday Night Football, is there any chance of a luck side total? Because the luck sides have been crushing lately. Is this a luck game? Are we looking at all on that?
Luck sides went 0-3 this week, so
I thought they did well.
Yeah, they went 0-3 this week, but they are 18-13 on the year. That's 58%, which is awesome. It's exactly as we expect based off our pregame luck-based cover percentages. We should be hitting at about 58% rate. So luck rankings are working as intended. But this is not a luck rankings game. The unlucky team in this game, if we were to split hairs, would be the Las Vegas Raiders here. This is not a luck total. Pretty neutral on the luck total. So let's look at some player props. And for me, I'm going to Michael Mayer, not Trey Tucker. I'm going to Michael Mayer. Over 2.5 receptions. I think there's like a minus 155 out there if you want to bet this individually. But I really like this as a parlay leg, right? Because I know people don't love laying minus 160 odds or anything like that. But throwing it in as part of a parlay is great. Excuse me. But I think there's a lot of anchoring bias with this Dallas defense. because in week 1 they played no man coverage. They played 100% zone. And in the first few weeks, they played like less than 5% zone. But Dallas has evolved into a more man coverage defense. They've actually played the 3rd most man coverage in the NFL over the last 4 weeks. And Michael Mayer, his target share goes up versus man coverage than versus zone coverage this year with Geno Smith as his quarterback. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And Dallas allows the 10th highest target share to tight ends. If we look at above average and below average target share to tight end teams in the 4 games where the defenses allow above average target share to tight ends, Mayer has almost 4 catches per game, 3.8 per game. In the other 3 games versus low tight end target share defenses, he has just 1 catch per game. And then also, if we look in the 4 full games where both he and Brock Bowers, I almost said Brock Purdy, Brock Bowers have played together, he's averaging exactly 3 catches per game, clearing 2.5 in 3 of the 4 games. So I like Michael Mayer to have at least 3 receptions. And while we're at it, for my second pick, let's just throw in his anytime touchdown as well. You can get that
Yes.
at plus 380, I think is the best line out there. I like this anything above, plus 333 or so. And another just good reason here is because on the Las Vegas Raiders, he's tied for the 2nd most targets with Trey Tucker inside the 10-yard line, trailing only, of course, his tight end teammate Brock Bowers.
All right, so before we vote, I have to ask you, Nick, how painful was it to not pick Trey Tucker in that spot for an anytime touchdown? Is it just the odds were too steamed at this point, given
Yeah, they're a
now
little too
he's wide
short.
receiver?
I
Yeah.
think they're a little too short, but I will have a parlay that I'm going to be tweeting out, dropping in the Action Network Discord, etc. A same game parlay that will include a Trey Tucker leg of some sort. So stay tuned to that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Rotodoc if you aren't. And if you're not in the Action Network Discord, get in the Action Network Discord, discord.gg/Action Network.
That's just amazing plugs by you, Nick. Perfect. Okay. All right. And then,
Somebody
of course, there
man.
could be Bet What Happens Live tonight as well for Monday Night Football at halftime. So,
Also, Kyle, you said nobody's rooting for the Raiders. I'm a Vegas boy. What are you talking about?
That's
all
fair.
right.
That's on me.
Yeah.
Hand up. That's on me.
I'm
All
a Trey
right, but either
Tucker
way,
guy.
we got to get a third leg on this parlay now. So Kyle, Derek, this is how it's going to go. We either going to vote for Michael Mayer to have 3 or more receptions, or we're just going to take the anytime touchdown, which is around plus 380, which would really make that parlay steam up here for us from an odds standpoint. But let's take a vote here. Are we voting for the receptions or are we voting for the anytime touchdown? Let's take a vote. All right, classic joke. I voted for Mayer. No, I actually voted for Mayer receptions. What did you guys do? Mayer reception. Okay, well, all right, we're all on board. Mayer receptions. We'll get a third leg in there, a little bit more of like an anchor leg, just because of where it is from a steam standpoint. So really good from a parlay leg standpoint. That is going to be the third leg of the parlay. 3 straight Raiders props. So that is now Ashton Genty over 17.5 receiving yards. Geno Smith not to throw an interception, and Michael Mayer to have at least 3 receptions in this game. So that's the first 3 legs of the parlay. I still think we got to get a touchdown prop on here, guys. So let's start on the Cowboys side. I've got Jake Ferguson. He's around plus 160 to plus 175. I think this is a spot where he could score a touchdown. 6 touchdowns this year, leads the team in red zone targets with 15. Now, he hasn't scored in a couple of games. I just think this offense from Dallas is going to bounce back pretty good against the Raiders. Raiders pass defense, I think they're a bit overrated from what we saw against Denver last week. They play zone at the highest rate in the NFL. Ferguson actually has 3 touchdowns versus zone defenses this year. That's first for all NFL tight ends. So Jake Ferguson is the first touchdown prop that I like. On the Raiders side, I went with a little nostalgia and sentiment here. I went with Tyler Lockett. He's around plus 425. I just wanted to take a long shot on the Raiders side. I'm clear. I'm not going to try to talk to you about how he's going to have this huge role because he's clearly past his prime. But I just think that he could see a big role this week, especially when this is only his second game with the Raiders. His first game with the Raiders, he played the second most snaps of any wide receiver on like 4 days' notice, and he got the second highest targets per route run. And the Cowboys defense has allowed 16 touchdowns to wide receivers this year, which is last in the NFL. Now, the Cowboys, I'm not sure if they're going to stick to that 50-50 man zone split that they've been doing over the last few weeks, but if they do play a lot more zone in this matchup, that does bode well for Lockett, who has seen his target rate go up versus zone compared to man coverage. But we'll see how that plays out. I still like the odds around plus 425. So that is my second touchdown bet. Tyler Lockett, the Seahawks gang is all back together in Las Vegas. You got Geno back together. You got Lockett, Pete Carroll. So it's a nice little reunion here. So guys, let's see what touchdown prop we're going to add here. Are we going to go with Jake Ferguson anytime touchdown plus 175, or are we going to go with Tyler Lockett, who's around plus 425 to score a touchdown on Monday Night Football? So let's take a vote. All right, guys, did we go with Fergie Ferg or lock it in the pocket? What are we doing? Ferg. All right. So Ferguson is going to be the touchdown prop that we use for this game. So Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown. If you want to tail either of those bets, quick slip links were dropped in the YouTube chat for those touchdown props. But now the parlay is set. So we've got Ashton Genty over 17.5 receiving yards, Geno Smith, no interception, Michael Mayer over 2.5 receptions, and Jake Ferguson with an anytime touchdown. You have to parlay this at DraftKings or Bet365. You can't do it at FanDuel because they won't let you parlay interceptions. But right now, seeing 15-1 at DraftKings for this game here tonight, and I feel pretty good about it. And I feel like the last time we actually this group rather cashed the Action Island parlay, I believe it involved a Raiders team. I think it was Raiders Chargers when it was on that doubleheader of Monday Night Football. Nick, what do you think of this parlay? How it correlates and how we feeling about it at 15-1?
Yeah, I love the Genty leg. I actually was looking into that one myself, and then I saw Kyle had it, so I was like, all right, well, I'll pivot to something else. We've got a nice minus 160 or so leg on Mayer, so hopefully that's an easy leg to hit. I very much like this Geno no interception. I think obviously it correlates with our guys getting receptions that they need to get their yards or their receiving totals, and Ferguson getting a touchdown. I mean, you can score on this Raiders defense. They're good, but you can still score on them.
Yeah, I think that's really the case, and I just think the Cowboys offense is just due for a little bounce back spot here. So Ferguson, I think, could get another touchdown. But again, that is a parlay, 15-1 at DraftKings for Monday Night Football between the Raiders and the Cowboys. That is all for us. I want to thank you again for watching Action Island for Monday Night Football. We'll be back here on the island to kick off Week 11 or Week 12 rather. Man, the season is just going fast. Week 12 with a pretty decent matchup, guys, between the Buffalo Bills and Houston Texans. So could be a little bit of a defensive slot there. But on behalf of Nick Giffen, Derek Carty, Kyle Murray, I'm Gilles Gallant. Thank you for watching Action Island. Aloha and bon chance.